All right, all right. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Facebook world, what is going on? It's your main man, Shabaka Amin, health success speaker, health success coach, health success trainer, creator of the Plant Based Loser Challenge. Welcome, 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 and thanks for joining. Your time is precious, and my purpose is to always add value to you because you're valuable, just to be honest, and you're worthy and deserving of health success. You better believe it. You better believe it. So today I have a special guest who is participating in my 21-day plant-based weight loss challenge. Her name is Hattie Washington. And before I go into introducing Hattie and before we get into a conversation, I want to basically open up by sharing the purpose of this broadcast and tell you what I'm about briefly. For those of you who don't know me, some of you have been following me for a couple years here on Facebook, and I believe we're streaming live on YouTube as well. So again, welcome YouTube world, Facebook world. And for all the people who are not familiar with me, I've got 23 years in the wellness and fitness industry. And my fundamental purpose has been all about helping customers achieve health success. Health success is so important right now because if we look at the evidence, if we look at the data, we now know that a mere 12.2% of Americans are metabolically healthy. That means 87.8% of Americans have poor metabolic health. So the reason why I do what I do, and the reason why I've done this for 23 years professionally, is to get people on this journey to embark upon health success. What is health success? Health success is a biological state of metabolic health, living in a biological state of metabolic health. So you're going to learn more about metabolic health during this conversational interview, and we're going to learn about the opposite of metabolic health. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce my guest. As I mentioned, her name is Hattie Washington, and Hattie is a licensed and ordained evangelist who has recently received her second bachelor's degree in Christian counseling from Life Christian University. She has served as a nurse assistant in healthcare for 38 years. And I'm going to bring Hattie on screen so that you can be introduced to her. You can meet Hattie. Hattie, welcome to this show.
Thank you.
I love that smile. You have a beautiful smile.
Thank you.
So, I always like to let folks know whenever I bring a guest on, I like to share the backstory on how the guest and I got connected. So, just to share with the viewers how we got connected, it's been maybe 3 weeks or 4 weeks. I got a text from my mom. My mom is a renowned massage therapist here in Charlotte. She does excellent work, and she's been blessed with the gift. Would you say that she has a gift?
Oh, absolutely.
So my mom sent me a text, and she was telling me that one of my customers um, is having some challenges, and she asked me if I knew of somebody that could assist her in that particular way. So I said, well, I have therapeutic protocols that can help arrest and reverse what she's dealing with. So my mom gave you my information. You contacted me. You left me a voicemail. And then I subsequently followed up, I think, with a text first. Then we got on the phone. And now here we are. So that's the backstory on how Hattie and myself got introduced. And shout out to my mom for connecting us. God is always working behind our back to ensure that we grow and we experience happiness and enjoyment. And that's what health success is really all about. Health success, when our biology is in a state of metabolic health, we're happier. We are happier. So I wanted to start off, Hattie, by asking you. I know when we talked initially, you mentioned that you became interested in natural health after having a battle with your own health in 2003. My question is, let the audience know, in 2003, did you have some type of medical emergency or a medical diagnosis that served as a personal wake-up call?
Well, I had a medical diagnosis, and um, it started on a Friday, and I was aware that something was going on. It started in my right foot, wanted to drag. And the next day, I went to the doctor on a Saturday. I went with a golf umbrella to help me to walk. Well, it was maybe two or three people in front of me, and when they got to me, I became a statue, literally a statue.
Did you say a statue?
And yeah, I could not move. So they came with the wheelchair and everything, and they had to physically sit me down. And from there, all of the tests and everything. Long story short, I was diagnosed with a muscle disease. And, from there, all of the medicines and ripping and running to the doctors, spending uh, most of my time at the doctor and on tons of medication. And so I spent maybe, I would say, about basically 2 years in that state. I had to completely give up work and everything. And I've been down on my back. I've had somebody to have to feed me. And my daughter had to literally dress me several times. So it was an adjustment in knowing my body and knowing, when it was time to come in and, just relearning myself, all over again in my body. And after I moved, I was in Monroe, and after I moved back to Charlotte, um, I attended a church where Mary Walker was teaching, sort of like Sunday school, and she was teaching about health and, what happens in the body and how it starts in the colon and all of this. And I took notes. And I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. That ain't no lie. And when I got sick and tired of the whole uh, rat race of that, I started dropping. And I would go 2 weeks. I said, okay, I'm good. And I would continue until I got down to just basically one prescription. And I did a body cleanse and cleaned everything out, no eating and everything, a 7-day cleanse, and began to walk because at that time, from the prednisone and all, I was almost 200 pounds.
You said you were almost
So
how much did you weigh from
I
the?
was almost 200.
Okay.
Yeah. So I say I was in a fight for my life, and I wanted my life back. And so when it began. I began to take charge of my own life. And so that was, I would say, 2006, I began on this journey. And I'm thankful that as I continue on the journey, and I've gained more knowledge and more understanding with different things. And, the way we got in contact with each other through your mother is, you know, um, information was thrown at me, this and that and the other, and my feathers got ruffled. And if I get ruffled, then I'm going to do something about it. And so by me getting ruffled and upset, and I determined that I was not going to accept what you're saying. And so therefore I start looking into what can I do. You know, I'm a very determined person, and have a very strong will. So that's what it's a fight in me. And I learned you know you're gonna fight for whatever you get in this life. You're gonna have to fight for it.
Yep.
It's not gonna come easy. You got to fight for it. And I'm fighting for my life. You know, but does it matter me getting education or whatever when if I don't take care of the body will not be able to carry me very far at all. So I must take care of my body so that I can last to be able to do what God has intended for me to do.
And I really appreciate you opening up and bringing it, as I say, because you know one of the things that I'm so passionate about is really informing people, inspiring people, and really getting people to operate from a sense of urgency. What I find is not enough people operate from a sense of urgency. And I would say, by virtue of most Americans not operating from a sense of urgency around the pursuit of health success, the pursuit of metabolic health, we find ourselves in medical emergencies. By not having a sense of urgency in the pursuit of metabolic health, the backlash, the repercussion of that is medical emergency. And so I've observed, working with people as a trainer, as a coach for 23 years, people, there's a disconnect. And there's a disconnect. And what I mean by that is this. I would say, and I'm going to ask you a question because I know, given outside of you being a nurse assistant, you are an evangelist. And you tell me if you've made the same observation. When we look at people in America, do you think that most people have a my body mindset versus a my God body mindset as it relates to their body?
They don't. I don't know whether it's because um they lack information or just because of ignorance. You know, one thing that I really, the whole thing, it's not just for me or for myself, it's for the body. You know, I'm very concerned about the body of Christ, but that's my entity in the body of Christ. And I've been in that body for almost 38 years. And we can sit down and we can pray over the food, and we eat whatever we want to eat, and we think that's it. We have a part to play, and that's what we forget. You pray all you want to, but you're sticking all of the wrong food in your body. I'm blessed to be able to have a second chance, and I don't take it for granted. I really don't. But I'm very concerned when I see what we do to our body. But yet our body is the temple. And I was said, matter of fact, in the class, I was expressing this, and one lady, one student told me, "Well, maybe Hattie, you got revelation, and they don't have the revelation." You know, and I even listened to some talking going on, you know, about the chitlins and this, and I just let them talk. I don't say a word, because I know when you know better, you do better. And so therefore, you don't know. You really don't know. you know. And so I said, well, maybe that is a problem, you know, that I have. God blessed me with insight, and I just want to continue on the journey, you know, to help, you know, because my life is in my hands, and I determine what the outcome is going to be.
Correct.
You know?
Correct. And you hit on a few themes, a few issues that has been a major part of my journey in helping people. There's a disconnect because in our culture, when it comes to our body, most people have the my body mindset. There's no my God body. In other words, like God is taken out of the equation when it comes to how I choose to treat my body. There's a mentality of it's my body and I can do or eat and treat it however I want without awareness of consequence. And
Exactly.
that's a prevalent belief. You know, I would say that most people, just to hear the term or phrase my God body in and of itself is a revelation, meaning someone hearing that who recognizes and acknowledges God, it makes them say, wow, I never thought about my God body. I never referred to my body in terms of my God body, because just to say that, you have to recognize God's presence, intelligence, and power and its function in your biology. And that's been absent in America. Just understanding that the presence, intelligence, and power of God has a function in our biology. That's absent. So it makes sense why poor metabolic health is prevalent. It makes sense why most adults in America, over 70%, are on prescription drugs. Because when we remove God out of the equation, when we think about our body, when we think about what we should eat, what we shouldn't eat, whether we should move or not move, people are making decisions and choices without an awareness of what does God need so that God can bless me with health. What does my God body need? And what do I need to provide it with so I can receive the health that I desire and deserve? I would say there's not one human being on the planet that doesn't want to feel good.
Exactly.
Not one. None of us want to experience the suffering and physical pain that comes with health failure. Nobody. So I just think there's a disconnect, and it's important during this day and time. The revelation is all of us have an opportunity. This is our God body, and one of the most powerful ways that we can get motivated is like, wow, yeah, I didn't make myself. I didn't make my body. You know, it's God made and God operated. I wanna do a better job of serving, you know, that presence, intelligence, and power. Because one thing people don't understand, health, that metabolic state is really a given. At least the spirit, the energy that's in our body. Our body is, you know, the atoms, Hattie, that make up the human body are 99.9999% light waves. And that's why, because you've been eating more plant-based food, and plant-based foods are rich in transmutative sunlight, don't you feel lighter?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I got a
We
pep in my step.
Exactly. Because health success, when the body, your biology has shifted, because you've been serving your cells, you've been serving that presence, intelligence, and power. that God's always trying to keep you alive,
Yes.
trying to support you in surviving and thriving. But we either support that presence, intelligence, and power, or we suppress
Mhm.
that presence, intelligence, and power by the way we choose to eat and not eat. So there's a spiritual law here.
Right. Yeah.
We can't just eat
Mm-mm.
whatever we want,
Mm-mm.
and we don't have the luxury of choosing to not eat foods that would actually, in fact, support that presence, intelligence, and power that made our biology, but that still operates our biology and responsible for the fact that we have life. We don't really have the luxury to choose not to eat mangoes or choose
Mhm.
not to eat salads, but that's how people operate because of the my body mentality.
Mhm. Right.
There's an arrogance.
Yes. Absolutely.
We're eating in our own will,
Mhm.
so we're ignoring the fact that there's omniscience behind the functioning of our biology. If we have inflammation, an inflammatory response and chronic inflammation is there for a reason. It's not your body punishing you,
Mhm.
it's your body giving you feedback. So it's telling you, it's communicating that something's wrong and it's getting your attention.
Mhm.
So I have another question. This is a really cool conversation because, you know, I know you're a licensed and ordained evangelist. And so I'm going to ask you, and then we'll move on to another point. Do you believe that God's presence, intelligence, and power has a function in our biology?
Absolutely. Once we become a believer and we receive the Holy Spirit, He lives on the inside of us. And I found out in the when I was coming back out of my state of sickness that your body, I've heard it, but I never experienced it. But when I was on that 7 day um, cleanse, there was no food. There you were doing something every hour and a half. And by that Friday, my body said to me, I want something to eat. And I was on the phone, and my sister stayed on the phone with me. She said, Hattie, she said, you done too good. She talked to me until I got sleepy. And I said, okay, she's in Virginia. I said, okay, I'm sleeping now. And so we hung up. I turned over and went to sleep. Saturday morning, I was good. It was gone. And so, yes, he lives on the inside of us. And not only that, the Bible tells us that our bodies are the temple. They are God's temple, his dwelling place. Our bodies, we are not our own. We've been bought with a price. And so therefore, we're ignoring, as you said, that part.
Fact.
And we move on. We talk about healing and we pray for people to be healed
Mm,
in all, but we ignore the fact that we have a part to play in it. We are blinded to that. And so we continue to go around and around this vicious cycle, only to get the same return because we won't do anything any different. And it's very sad.
what I love about what you said was you were sick and tired of being sick and tired. And in my 23 years of coaching and training people, I find that my most successful customers are customers who they're experiencing various symptoms, signs and symptoms of health failure, um, in the form of high blood pressure, in the form of high blood serum triglycerides, in the form of elevated blood sugar, and insulin resistance in the form of elevated LDL and decreased HDL or abnormal cholesterol levels, in the form of abdominal belly fat, which most people don't even know that excess abdominal belly fat is a precursor condition for all the other conditions I just named. Once you have fat around the belly, it opens you up to medically what they refer to as metabolic syndrome conditions. Those are the 5 signs, and not that everybody gets all 5, but if you get 3 of 5, in medicine, they say you have been diagnosed with metabolic syndrome. And so many Americans, considering the fact that only 12.2% of the American population is metabolically healthy. That means that 87.8% have a couple of those conditions I named. So, when we look at the fact that in our culture we have been programmed with this mentality and mindset that it's my body. And just to say it's my body in and of itself is taking God out of the equation. Right. I had a revelation over a year ago where I was told directly, start acknowledging me in your teachings. And so God's biology came through. Mm-hmm. And then months ago, during December, my God body, your God body, because all success starts with the maker.
That's right.
And so whether somebody's a spiritualist or Christian or Muslim or Hebrew or Jew, we all recognize we didn't make ourselves. Mm-hmm. We all recognize there's only one presence that's omnipresent. There's only one intelligence that's omniscient, and there's only one power that's omnipotent. Mm-hmm. And its being is present in our biology. Mm-hmm. And so when we start to understand the science, science has uncovered and discovered parts of that omniscience. There's a knowledge of the chemistry of food that we call nutritional science. There's a knowledge of the human body, and we can refer to it as biology and physiology. There's a science. The sciences just uncover the inner workings, the forms, structures, and the functions of the different components of this system made of systems. But underneath it all, there's a presence, intelligence, and power we call God. Many say Allah, many say God. The word choice is not important. There's only one presence. Mm-hmm. And so whether you say supreme being, the maker, it doesn't care. Mm-hmm. It just the acknowledgement and the observation of the laws governing our biology is the most important piece. And in America, we haven't gotten that yet. Mm-hmm. I wanted to ask you a question, Hattie, and I'm so happy to bear witness to the changes you're making. And so now, let's let the audience know. Of course, you recently enrolled in the Plant-Based Loser Challenge, and I've become your health success coach. Let the audience know what kind of results and rewards have you been getting since you started the Plant-Based Loser Challenge. What have you observed? What have you noticed in terms of results and rewards?
What I have noticed from the beginning, with the first 7 days, I noticed in my joints and my muscles was more looser. I noticed just a sense of feeling so clean on the inside, just really feeling clean and more energy than I had. And just I felt good. I really did. I felt good, just a sense of wellness. Um, and I enjoyed it. I looked forward to, just following it down to the letter and doing my walks with it. I walked, and then I went to the gym several times, but I felt good. I felt good in my mind, and I felt more clarity. Um, but I did, I dropped weight. I'm 7 pounds lighter than what I was.
That's right. That's right.
But I just wanted to bring my body back more in line. I had before, I had already become a vegan. So you encouraged me and said, well, you're halfway there. And I did that because I no longer liked the way I felt when I ate the meat. I just didn't like. And one week I just didn't feel too good. And then the next week I felt the same thing. I said, you know what? It's time for me to give you up. And I did. I just stepped out and decided. And with me stepping out, that means I cleaned out. You just clean everything out, get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
And just went from there. So I've enjoyed the journey and the health journey and just taking care of myself that I can live a long life, because the scriptures say with long life will he satisfy me, and I want to be well satisfied. And so we make the sacrifices for what is important to us.
Mm-hmm.
And so we buy the nice cars and the nice home. But if we don't take care of ourselves, we're not going to live very long to really enjoy. The first thing you need to take care of is yourself.
Right. And we can't
so you can enjoy your life and you can feel better.
And what
I feel a lot better. I sleep better, and I feel like I feel something that I've never felt before.
Mm.
And I'm just enjoying. I enjoyed that smoothie this morning. Oh my God, that was it tastes so fresh. It was a different. I think that one I like more than the others, and I'm just really enjoying this journey.
You're referring to the smoothie for digestion.
That's correct. It was very good, very good.
I'm glad to hear that, and just so the audience will know, I have 3 different types of therapeutic smoothies. In the first 7 days, the smoothie for inflammation targets inflammation in the body. If you're overweight, if you're dealing with high blood pressure, if you're dealing with elevated blood sugar, type 2 diabetes, full-blown type 2 diabetes, or even if you're borderline diabetic, what people don't understand is chronic inflammation plays a major role in being overweight. And a lot of the issues start with the excess abdominal belly fat. And so Hattie she was on the smoothie for inflammation in the first 7 days. And then last week, days 8 through 14, she got on the smoothie for hormones, which is balancing hormones. And then now she's on the smoothie for digestion, smoothie, soup, and tea for digestion. I have 3 different types of smoothies, soups, and teas. They're all therapeutic, meaning these are not like fun smoothies loaded in sugar, which of course will keep your blood sugar elevated. And a lot of people don't know, they're assuming that they're doing a good thing because they're blending fruits and vegetables in a blender, not knowing They don't understand that when you liquefy your fruits, even if you add vegetables, you've pulverized the fiber. Fiber in plant-based foods is what slows down the rate at which sugars enters the bloodstream. So once you pulverize the fiber, fiber is no longer able to function to slow down how fast sugar enters the bloodstream. So people that are on smoothies, they're still overweight and they're not losing weight because as long as you're drinking liquefied fruits, even if they're mixed with vegetables, sugar enters the blood rapidly, and that's going to keep your insulin levels elevated and keep you in what's called hyperinsulinemia. Hyperinsulinemia. This is a medical term, and it has to do with the condition where your insulin levels, there's insulin resistance, but insulin is constantly elevated, and there's higher amounts of sugar, glucose, that's constantly circulating. And this is why, we're seeing the high rates of dementia. People don't know. I study the best minds in the world, the scientists, all the leading minds on Alzheimer's and dementia. Guess what they're calling dementia and Alzheimer's? Type 3 diabetes. Type 3 diabetes because of the effect that elevated blood sugar has on brain tissue. When you have elevated blood sugar and insulin resistance, it not only causes kidney damage, renal conditions, it causes liver problems, non-alcohol fatty liver, but it also, that elevated blood sugar, because people think about it, your blood circulates where? Omnipresently, everywhere. Blood circulates everywhere. So you have to ask, well, how does having elevated blood sugar impact my brain tissue? Well, they already know how it does. It's called dementia and Alzheimer's because of what's called glycation. Glycation is when the sustained elevated blood sugar, and this can, it happens gradually over time. We're talking about years. And the fact that God is in our biology, we're so resilient. We don't have these health failure habits and our brain and organs just instantly get damaged. We're given a lot of grace. We're given a grace period to get it together. Right. But when we don't, then memory loss, right, the early signs of dementia, all because of a way of eating from our own will, right, and choosing to consume high amounts of calorie-rich and processed foods, animal products, and low amounts of whole, God-made, natural, nutrient, and fiber-dense plant-based foods. It's a choice. Dementia is a choice. Heart disease is a choice. Your biology right now, your God body, Hattie, is going through regeneration. This is why you feel lighter, feel better. Your joints aren't, you've decreased inflammation in your joints. That's why they feel smooth. Like you said a minute ago, which was powerful. You never felt this good.
No.
Think about it. You've never eaten this good. The quality, the nutritional value of the foods you're putting into your God body now, your Rolls Royce is finally getting the 93 gas it was made for.
Absolutely.
You see, that's how it works. You've begun the process of increasing your health success habits and decreasing your health failure habits. And the presence, intelligence, and power of God in you knows what to do. It's been waiting for you to show up all along.
All along. Well, praise the Lord. I finally showed up, huh?
Yeah. You said, I will no longer tolerate this because the God in you, the wisdom, the God in you said, nah, it's not supposed to be this way. And you stopped tolerating it. And you decided to take 100% responsibility for your health success. And now the return on the investment, the plant-based investments, you feel more joy. Life But here's the funny thing. This is just the beginning, Hattie. Just the beginning. There's a compounding, the law of compounding. You do something repeatedly, day by day, that is a high value practice for the biology, for our bodies, that supports it surviving and thriving. You get compounding. Let the audience know you sent me a message one morning. It actually made my eyes water. I never told you that. But one of the first messages you sent me when you put the emojis, that you were brought to tears because you couldn't believe on day 4 how much change you witnessed in your abdomen. Tell the audience what that morning was like.
Well, it was early one morning, and I sit down, and I don't know, for some reason, my stomach felt different. And so I looked, and I couldn't believe it. I really had to look again. But my stomach has gone down tremendously, and which I'm very pleased, because when I do put on, that's where it goes in my stomach. So I'm very pleased that it has gone down, and I just really couldn't believe it. But I was so happy that my stomach has gone down, and
Um,
I intend to continue, and I'm looking forward to it even going further down.
there's no limit. It can become completely flat because those nutrients that you're ingesting, from the solid meals to the smoothies, soups, and teas, that's what they do. That's what our cells, our tissue, the organs in our body was designed and made for that food. It took some level of suffering, it took some level of physical pain, and you had a wake up call and said enough is enough. And evidently your prayers, you put the prayers out, and God always answers.
We always.
I always say when we're seeking, there's always a guide that comes about to help us. God will work through a guide to show you, okay, here are some guidelines that you
Hmm.
can follow so that you can be in agreement with your God body versus work against it.
Right.
So I'm happy with you. I'm happy for you. You deserve it. You know, it would be a cruel hoax for God to put us here, set us here on earth to set us up for chronic disease. That makes no
Hmm.
sense. Because
Yeah.
God's trying to live and express through us. So our bodies were not designed for inherent and inevitable disease.
Mm-mm.
Just not. It's the opposite. It's the very opposite. So I wanted to ask you another question before we wrap up. Before you enrolled in the Plant Based Loser Challenge and started the health success coaching process with me, let the audience know what type of metabolic risk factors were you dealing with? Did you have? Now they know you had excess abdominal belly fat. How were your triglycerides? How was your cholesterol? How was your blood pressure?
My triglycerides was extremely high. Um, and so was the total cholesterol from me just going on the plant base, or going vegan. It had come down, but the triglycerides was still too high, and the blood pressure was still up, which it has come down in the 130 mark. You know, um, and so from there, pretty much, I was dealing with the thyroid could be better than what it was. It was about 7 something. So if it could come down, because I did have it down before, in the 5 mark. But other than that, you know, uh, like I said, the belly fat. Uh, but pretty much that's been about it, you know.
That's cool. Overall well-being increase, more energy, more stamina. Um, what would you say? And I wanted to ask you this question earlier, but I like to go with the flow of the conversation whenever I interview someone. I want to make it a conversational interview, where it has a spirit and a rhythm to it that's natural. I know that you served as a nurse assistant in healthcare for 38 years. How much human suffering and physical pain have you witnessed in your career as a nurse assistant with patients?
I have witnessed, oh my goodness, some horrendous pain, you know, even in just, my immediate family, you talking about, we wanting to eat what we want to eat and not our bodies. And, those, um, I have an older brother that is no longer here. And just as you say, for the same reasons, because he was determined that he was not going to be like my mother. He was not going to be told that he can't have this. He going to eat whatever he want to eat. Then he want to eat it however much he want to eat. That was his attitude. And, he had already had some heart surgeries
Mm,
and, and he dealt with gout and he even dealt with some cancer issues,
yep.
So, but that was the way. And then toward the end, before, then he said to his wife one day, how, because he served in the service for 28 years, went to the top rank. How did I let my body get like this? That's what he said to his wife. You know, so I've seen some horrendous, like I said, uh people suffering, you know, from sickness and illness and whatever, but it takes someone to change. You got to change your mind. I changed my mind,
Hmm. Yep.
and it takes a change. It takes a shift. You have to do a shift. And when you do that shift, you have to do it, be serious. You got to be serious about it.
I call it
It's
dead
like,
serious.
yeah, you got to be dogmatic, you know, and just take your health in your own hands. But it takes a change of mind, and you have to be determined. I would say, go in prayer and get with God, but be determined and discipline. You have to be disciplined. I knew Monday I was out. I had the smoothie, and I was trying to do something for my granddaughter, and I had left there and I was going to go to Whole Foods. But then I said, now it's time for me to get home. I need to get my salad. And if I go over there, you know, so I told myself, no, you done been out too long. It's time for you to get home. And so I got home and fixed what I needed to fix. And I was very well satisfied, but we have to make the change and we have to be determined, that we're going to make the change. Do it for yourself, do it for your family,
Yep.
do it. And then so others can see it can be done, but you need to be the example for your family, for your church family, and for your own natural family, because it's sad, that We just, we want to do what we want to do. We want to eat what we want to eat, and we not take the health, our own health, in our own hands. Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing that. Last point I want to make is we find it so fascinating, especially in African American culture, and it's probably spoken and said amongst other ethnic groups. But I'm tired of hearing people blame God for premature death.
Yeah.
So many people will say, "Oh, such and such, Johnny was called home early,"
Mm.
or "This person heart attacks or heart disease, complications with the kidneys, strokes, all of these conditions are preventable. They're
Yes.
treatable on a whole foods plant based eating style. Um, but there's a tendency for people to blame God. That's
Mhm.
like saying such and such, crossed the street. They walked across the street. They chose, they used their will. They walked across the street on a red light. First time or two, they may not get struck by a car.
Mhm.
But at some point, they're going to be struck by a car. You can't blame God
Mm-mm.
for that person dying after being struck by a car because they kept crossing the street on a red light. And our food choices are the same. Our food choices are coming from preference.
Mhm.
Our food choices are coming from addictive cravings.
Right.
Our food choices in America are coming from preference, addiction, and not from the science of how our bodies were designed. And that's what's getting us in trouble. So I want to thank you for your time, Hattie. I would love to do a follow-up interview at the end, even though it's not an end, this is a new beginning. But once you wrap up your 21-day plant-based weight loss challenge, I would love to interview you again just so that people can hear about your health success journey and what took place in 21 completed days being on the plant-based metabolic weight loss plan. I thank God. I thank God for your commitment. I appreciate the passion. I appreciate the seriousness, and I appreciate you acknowledging the blessings along the way because you've filled me in on every aspect of the journey thus far, and it's important for people to hear this, get this type of program. Because, like you said, it starts in mindset with a change of belief, and this type of programming is a part of that change. People have to, before we can change our habits, we have to change our beliefs, our attitudes, and our feelings. You made that change at that level, the psychological level, and your beliefs, your attitude, and your feelings, and then now your habits have followed. So thank you, Hattie. I really appreciate your commitment, and I just want to encourage you to keep keeping on because your God body deserves the best.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thanks for giving me thanks for the trust. You trusted in God, and then you trusted in my spirit and what I'm all about, my sincerity and my passion. And I appreciate that trust. I don't take it lightly because this is what God sent me on the planet to do, to help people in this matter. And it only continues to get better. So many more people are going to benefit from this upcoming health success training that's in the works. So thank you, Hattie. Keep keeping on, and as we do, we're going to be messaging each other. If
Mhm.
as always, if you have any questions, you always can reach out, shoot me a message through Messenger. Of course, if we ever have to get on the phone, I'm down with that. I'm up for it as well. Continue on. I appreciate your commitment. Thank you for your time. Thanks for granting me this interview.
You're welcome.
And continue to enjoy the remainder of this day. And we'll connect soon because I know you'll have another weigh in real soon. So keep me posted. And hey, God's best. We're worthy and deserving. And thanks for honoring your God body.
Thank you.
Enjoy the remainder of your day.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Hattie.
You're welcome.
Okay. Bye-bye. So, folks, this was a real cool conversation. You heard it from Hattie Washington, an African American woman honoring her God body and reaping the rewards, the rich rewards, more joy, more energy, less to no pain, cosmetic changes. She's I forgot to ask Hattie, and if she's still on, one last thing, Hattie, let the audience know what your age is.
Well, I am 62 years old young.
62 years young, folks. It's never, ever too late. As long as you have life and you're alive, you can always decide to pursue health success. Reach out to me, folks. Love to serve and help you. Get on the path. God bless everybody. We are out for now. Thanks again, Hattie.
You're welcome.
God bless. Okay, folks, enjoy the remainder of this wonderful Wednesday. I will be seeing you and hopefully hearing from you soon. God bless.